So what's crazy is like not this Wednesday actually. So a couple days ago, I actually just stepped away from playing football and I just with withdraw from my school that I was going to just because I was dealing with a lot and I just felt like God's been calling me. He's been nagging at me to just step away from that and he's gonna take me into something else. So um
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Mediocre Dads Bible Study. I am joined not by my normal guest or my normal co-host. Today is my nephew Jordan, so I'm excited. So I'll tell you guys this: I had been thinking about this for a while now. Of like, I wanted to get people that were close to me on the show, whether it was just regular Mediocre Dads or it was the Mediocre Dads Bible Study. And so to have him on, I kind of reached out and I said, "Hey man, we'd love to have you on." And he was like, his response, look, first and foremost, I will say your response was a little cocky, but he was like, "I've just been waiting for you to ask me." And I was like, hold on, what? I was like, okay, hold on. I didn't know, you want to ask me. I tell people all the time, if you want to come on the show, please just let me know. I can't read people's minds. If I don't want someone on the show, I'll tell them no. But 9 times out of 10, if anybody asks to be on the show, I will always tell them yes, because I think everybody has a story, everybody has experience that they want to share. And who am I to stop them from that? Right. So anyway, we had that dialogue, got him on, and so we're here now, and we're gonna have this conversation, guys. So for those who don't know Jordan, he's in college right now. I think you're in your sophomore, junior year. Is that, I don't know how do you
yeah,
guys
junior
refer to
third year.
college? Your
Yeah.
third year. Okay, so he's in your third year of college, and you were in Ohio at first playing football, but now you're in California playing football, right?
Yeah.
And so, but we'll get into a little bit into the nitty gritty of that. But why this is important is because Jordan is just like me. He's a believer, and he's a Christian in an environment which does not promote Christianity. And I don't say that to be disparaging to his school or to the people around him. It's just the reality of what today's society is. If we don't promote Christianity, is looked upon uh, as a thing of just like, oh, you're one of those people type thing. And so especially among the younger crowd, what I tend to see is this idea of like, oh, those Christians are like cult, they're cultish, like they have like a cultish vibe to them. So it's kind of strange to operate in that environment and still be bold about your faith, especially when when there's probably a good portion of your friends who are not believers themselves. So kind of diving right into this, Jay, like, what is that like for you being a devout believer? But then I'm sure you have a good portion of your friends. Well, I won't even assume. Or do you have a lot of friends who are believers, or a good portion of them kind of just like, I'm doing my own thing?
Nah, so really I really don't even have that many friends in general, but
That's
like
craziness.
I've lost a lot of friends over the years just because growing apart and stuff. But
Hmm.
nah, once I went to Ohio, uh, I got with a really close group of friends, and there was about 8 or 10 of us, and we like always did everything together, and we always hung out together. But pretty much most of us, we were all like really devoted, and like we all went to church together and everything, and we just built a really strong bond. So that's really what sucks about having to leave Ohio. We all separated, and we not together anymore. So I miss them boys, but and then like in Arizona, I got a few friends, but and then out here I got a few friends, but pretty much I I remove myself from like just mostly associating with people that like don't got the same beliefs as me, like
Yeah.
I just I just don't really put myself in those situations anymore. Like I never even really like partying or drinking or any of that stuff. So I just have never been around it so much. So I mean I like being alone. Like I I don't talk to a lot of people. I just stay to myself a lot. So it's not like that hard for me to like separate myself from those people because I mean I already enjoy being by myself. So
Yeah.
I just I tend to like keep a close knit of friends and that all have like the same beliefs as me. So but I also tend to like I work on bringing like those people that are close to me that aren't close to him. Like I do everything I can to like sow that seed, you know.
Yeah, and that's one of the important things is like a lot of people believe you have to have this large group of friends and to really to live to have the college experience, and I would say, who is a person who's never been to college in the sense of traditional college where you go to class every day, you live in dorms, whatever the case might be. I know that what is promoted, and it's a heavily of like, hey, you need to get involved in the fraternities, you need to get involved in with the football players or the basketball players, or depending what your school is known for, you need to get involved with the ladies, the drinking, the potentially even doing drugs. You need to get involved in all this because this is the college experience and that's what you're there for. And when in reality, that's truthfully not what you're there for. What you're there for is to receive an education. But it's been manipulated and misconstrued to turn into it's about the experience rather than getting the education itself. And so, I knew you since you were born, right? And because you've always lived with us. And one of the things is I noticed that you were always an introvert, and I thought maybe that's just like just younger Jay. That's what he just does. He's just always an introvert. But like even now, you've always been that. You're still that introvert, which is good.
Yeah.
For you, I think I know that's what you're comfortable with, and you always stick within your comfortable area. But it attracts. But your introvertness is a thing where it seems mysterious to a lot of people, and you attract a lot of people to you. And so people are attracted to you because they're interested in like, okay, what is this? What is it about this guy that makes me interested in him? Something stands out about him. I don't know what it is, but it makes me interested in him. So by all means, no shame in the game. College kids, from my understanding, suck anyway. So, but so when you first got to college though, did you go to the parties? Did you do those things to try to not necessarily fit in, but wanting to get that experience that everybody had kind of sold to you on social media and growing up? Like, oh, I want to really immerse myself in this college and I want to experience it.
So that's the thing. Like my school, it wasn't. There wasn't even really any college experience to be had because it was
Oh, okay.
just my school. Like there was like less than 1,000 people. Like my school was tiny, and it was just like it wasn't a lot going on. You know what I mean? So like there would be a couple parties. Like I maybe went to one or two, but like it was never nothing going. It was literally just the whole football team would go, and we'd just be hanging out with the same people we already hanging out with. So it was just pretty. I just so I never really indulged in it, but so like I never had like the real like college experience, but where I've been at, it's never really been like an experience to have, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. But
No,
so no,
yeah, I got you.
yeah, yeah.
And so,
Go.
okay, so then you move to California, and is I imagine there's more of an opportunity for an experience to be had. Again, and I'm not trying to just say that you want to indulge in the experience, but I do genuinely want to understand, from a younger person's perspective, um, college is this idea, this fantasy for a lot of people of just pure bliss of just I'm separated from my parents, I'm separated from any sense of responsibility to my family, and that could be good or bad depending who you are. And so it's a really sense of a first time of having freedom. So like the college you are in now, is it similar to what it was like in Ohio, or is there more people trying to pull you into that sphere of like, hey, let's go do this, let's go do that?
So like my school is the school I go to. It's a community college, so it's like it's way bigger than like my old school, and it's basically like a Division 1 school, but it's a community college, so there's like no dorms or there's no like housing or anything on campus,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's not. So I stay in Riverside, so I stay like 45 minutes away from the school, so I'm commuting every day back and forth. So I'm not like if I'm going for football, I'm there for football, and then I just go back home. You feel me? So it's not like so I mean they might have it going on, but I'm out the way. You feel me? And like ever
Yeah.
since I've been in college, it's always just been I'm here for football. So why would I do something that's not gonna benefit me in that?
Yeah, no, I totally got you. I totally got you. So, what are your goals then, right? Like whether educationally and then even with football, what are your goals? What are you trying to do?
So what's crazy is like last not this Wednesday actually. So a couple days ago, I actually just stepped away from playing football, and I just with withdraw from my school that I was going to, just because I was dealing with a lot, and I just felt like God's been calling me. He's been nagging at me to just step away from that, and He's gonna take me into something else. So, um, so right
Well,
now
hold on.
I'm trying to be
Let's go
obedient.
back. Let's go back. So you stepped. So you withdrew from school completely, or you're just done playing football.
Both. Like I withdraw from the school that I was going to and gonna play football at. So now I don't
Dang.
know. I don't know if it's for one semester or if it's forever. But yeah,
Wow. Okay. And kind of what led you to that decision, right? How did that explain to me how that how you came to that decision, right? Because I don't imagine it was a overnight decision that was made. I'm sure this has been on your mind for some time. So what kind of led you to that decision?
for sure. So like I've been dealing with injuries. Like I tore my ACL like uh April 2023, and then I just came back from my ACL like this past summer. And then as soon as I got to the school, I had been dealing with some other lingering injuries, and then I hurt my hamstring. I came back, I hurt my hamstring again, and then I just came back and I just popped my hamstring like last week. And
Mm.
it's just so like it's just like the whole time that I've been here in the 2 months, I maybe practiced like 5 days, like, and it's just been going on and on and on, and I just hasn't had I haven't had any peace with it, you know. Like I love football my whole life. Like I love football. Like I would show up like when nobody else is showing up. Like the little things. Like that's what I love about football. But ever since I've been out here, I never had any peace with it. Like I dreaded waking up and going to school every day. Like I dreaded going to practice. Like it just wasn't fun anymore, you know. So like
Yeah.
I had been thinking on it. Like at first, like when I first got out here, like after that first 2 weeks, like I didn't have a lot. I didn't have any confidence. Like I was hurting a lot, and it was just like at first I was like, man, like should I even be doing this anymore? Like should I just go home? Like it's not like I'm not enjoying this at all. Like it was just a lot going on. But then like you know me, I'm like the type to like if it's just a little setback, I'm just gonna keep pushing it, and it's just meant to make me stronger, you know. And like I'm just gonna keep fighting through it. But eventually, like I just came to the point where it's like I obviously want to play football, you know, but it's just like
Hmm.
I feel like he's trying to remove me from that situation because that was always football was always my identity, but now my identity's in him. So like that's really what matters, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. God has an amazing way of doing things or transforming our life, where we have it in our mind of where this is our path in which we're supposed to be doing, or where we're supposed to be going, the direction we're supposed to be moving. God has an amazing way of saying, like, hey, like, this was only meant to be for a season,
Yeah,
and no pun intended, but this was only meant to be for a season, not for a lifetime. And so now that you may have completed that season, and as I don't wouldn't say right now we know that for certain, but just say,
mm-hmm.
kind of going with me, which is, I
Just for
imagine
now.
now that you
Yeah.
complete that season, it's kind of like, okay, I need you to go down this path. In order for you to go down this path and fully immerse yourself in this path, I have to remove this from you. And so a lot
Yeah.
of people will look at that and would be like, oh my goodness, God's taken something from me. So the thing that I've loved, the thing that I had so much passion around, the reason for me being me, you know what I mean? Like, he's taking it from me, and it's like, I don't understand. I don't know why these things are happening, but only to open up a door, because he says, when God closes a door, he opens up another one. And
Mm-hmm.
I know that it might not seem right now that he's opening another door, but I promise you, another door, the path has been laid, and another door is currently being opened for you. And whatever that is, I'm sure you'll be successful in it.
That's the
And
thing. Though. Like like
yeah.
even with that whole situation, like I played football my whole life. I just quit playing football. I'm at peace, like because my like once I first got injured, like like it opened my eyes, like there's more to football, like that's not my identity anymore. Like just putting my identity
Mhm.
in him, like just shows me that like I'm not tripping, like it's all gonna work out, like I'm cool. You feel me?
Yeah. And that's the craziest thing that will happen when it happens is so many people who even similar in your situation or have been similar in your situation will sit there and they'll be like, oh man, I just lost everything, right? But for a person to say like, no, like I'm at peace, like this is the type of peace that I've been waiting for, I've been praying about it. It is so strange that I didn't know the thing that I was asking for was available to me right there. You know, like all I had to do was just say, hey, I'm not doing this thing anymore. And that, you know, it's amazing. And I'm happy for you. And if you're at peace,
Yeah.
I'm happy for you. Cause you know, um, I ever since I've been in the army, when I was in basic training, especially, well, I won't say basic training, but it stood out to me in basic training. It stood out to me when I was in Afghanistan, and it stood out to me when I was going through the drug test failure that I was going through. But there's my favorite verse, and it's my favorite verse because Aubrey sent it to me in one of the letters she wrote me when I was in basic training. And
Mm-hmm.
that verse was Isaiah 26:3, keep those in perfect peace who trust in you. And I love that verse because when I read it, and I read it over and over, it was that first part, keep those in perfect peace. And I'm like, oh man, that's all I want. Perfect peace, you know. Let me pull this up here because I Isaiah 26:3. Yeah. So a New Living Translation says, "You will keep in perfect peace all who trust in you, all whose thoughts are fixed on you." And that right there, perfect peace. I strive for perfect peace, and each one of us have our this own idea of what perfect peace looks like. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, you know, for me, perfect peace is just being able to wake up in the morning with a smile on my face and know that I'm going to go through some stressors, but at the end of the day, when I back home, when I walk back through that door, my kids are happy to see me, and I'm happy to see them, and I'm in real peace. You know, everybody
Yeah.
thinks of this idea of peace of just like being able to like do whatever you want, and in some ways, I am able to do whatever I want. But like for me, it's just being able to just not really have any concerns outside of what of not having concerns of things I can't control, you
Yeah.
know. And so what is that? So now with that decision being made for you, or you made that decision for yourself in your being obedient, you know, what do you think is the next step right for you? Is it just kind of you're going to wait, pray, and you know seek wisdom and guidance from you know from those around you, or is there something in your head where you're like, hey, this is kind of the direction I think I'm going to be going?
Nah, so I've obviously been praying about it for a while now, and since I've been out here, I started coaching like a little league team, like a 13-year-old team. So, and I really enjoy that. Like that's my passion. I want to be a coach and I want to be a teacher. So then, just coaching out here, um, and then I recently just like applied to start serving at the church and like the in the children's ministry, or whatever. And so
That's
teaching in
awesome.
there and just I'm finna still go to school and everything, but just like I want to get my degree so I can be a teacher and I can be a coach, wherever that leads me, and then just whatever else he has planned for me, you know.
Yeah,
But to go off what you were talking about in that piece, I was reading about it last night, John 14, and it was when Jesus was revealing to him like that he was leaving them. He was like, yeah, I'm leaving you guys, but you guys aren't gonna be alone, you know. Like I'm leaving you with the Holy Spirit, and that Holy Spirit is the gift of peace. And it says, but the Helper, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, he will teach you all things and bring to your remembrance all things that I said to you. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you, not as the world gives to you. Let your heart not be troubled, neither let it be afraid. So because we had that peace that he gave to us as the gift, it's just like we have that peace, and then nothing can shake us. Like no matter what we're going through, no matter how bad it looks, you know, it's just we always can be steady because we know that he's gonna make a way, no matter how bad it looks.
absolutely. You know, it's amazing God's power, and I say that right, and because in my daily reading right now, I'm in Job, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you're familiar with the book of Job, and kind of all the things that transpired, all the things that he went through and he experienced, and Job is this guy who has everything, and then the devil talks to God and says, "Hey, I want to show you, I want to prove to you that I can make Job curse your name." And
Mm-hmm.
he says, "No, Job is one of my best, if not my best right now." He's like, "Go for it, try it. If you want, do everything you can. You can do everything you can want to him, except take his life." And Job is going through all of these things and these experiences. And don't get me wrong, as you read Job does clearly have some things in his mind where he's like, I don't understand why I'm going through this. He's questioning God. But also what amazes me about Job is he's sitting, as he's going through these things, you can tell that there's still this peace, not, I won't say peace, but there's still this yearn for God. When
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people go through troubles and adversity, right, and trials,
Yeah.
we always think that, um, man, that means, God's testing me, or like this is sucks, it's miserable, my life is over, right? Just something like it's always extreme, right? Like we're always just kind of like
Mm-hmm.
we always go to the extreme,
Yeah. The worst.
and then we very quickly revert back to living within the world rather than living for God, and
Yeah.
trusting that He has a plan for us, and immersing ourselves in His Word and prayer, and really trying to hear from Him rather than run away from Him and say, well, God doesn't want me to have this. God doesn't want me to be great. God doesn't want me to be successful. So I'm just going to go do my own thing, do it my own way, because it's so much easier, because this God thing is obviously not working out. It's not meant for me, and it's
Yeah.
so easy for people to do that. And at any point when you were making this decision, did you feel that? Did you feel like, hey, man, is it this God thing is not what I thought it was going to be? You know what I mean? Not to say you were cursing God, but just kind of like
Yeah.
just truly just upset with God. Just upset because this is what you thought you wanted.
Nah, but nah, I've never been upset with it. Like I'm really just I've been able to become more content. Like maybe with my first injury, but I don't even think with my I've never like why me. Like I always just
Mm-hmm.
like I try and look for the best in every situation. Like this is it's happening for a reason. Like especially like when I blew out my knee, I was like that's the worst thing that ever happened to me. But
Mm-hmm.
at the end, like I try to stay positive through it, and then ultimately, it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Like that's what changed my faith. That's what brought me closer to Him, and that's what like remade like who I am, and recreated my identity. And so, no, I try. I never question it. I just know that He's like maybe thoughts creep up in the back of my mind, but like about what you're saying about Job and his story, like I like what stands out to me is that he did have those moments where he was like questioning like why me but
Yeah.
the thing is they never left his thoughts, like he never like took it like out loud and like was telling his friends like why me, like they never left his thoughts. So like those thoughts might creep in, but you just can't let them out, and you just gotta know that he's gonna work everything out no matter how bad it looks.
Yeah, and that's it. Truthfully, it requires a lot of prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't say that to be to just to say it just to say it. I say that because
Oh yeah,
as
hundred
a
percent.
person, for me personally, I know my prayer life is trash. I'll be honest. My prayer life is trash. I've tried. I try. I will say I'm still trying to get to the point where my prayer life is just where it's just it's a habit. You know what I mean? But now
Yeah.
we're at the moment where, and you've heard me and B talk about this, where the crawl, walk, run phase, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm still in that crawling phase, and so for me, at times I do forget that the easiest answer, and whenever I'm traversing my day, is just pray. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It doesn't have to be
Mm-hmm.
a David like esque prayer or a Solomon like esque prayer. It just to be a simple conversation of, hey God, I'm going through some things right now. I just need your help. I just need your blessings. I just need your covering, as I continue, as I walk through this day, and just be with me. Simple
Mm-hmm.
as that. And it's
Yeah.
amazing what having that faith will do to change. And when you say those words and say that prayer, and how that moment can change you. And
Yeah.
I wanted to kind of ask, sticking with Job though, for you is, as Job was going through what he was going through, where he lost his family, he lost his fields, he lost his cattle, and the only thing that was left was his wife. He has boils on him. He's separated from his family, from his wife, and he has, he owns workers, and they don't even want to come near him. Children don't turn their backs on him. People that loved him want nothing to do with him. But in Job, he's talking with his three friends, and these three friends are supposed to be his closest friends, because when they first saw Job, they tore their clothes and sack and went put on sackcloth, and they prayed and for Job because of what he was going through. But then as
Yeah.
they're all sitting around a fire, and no one says anything, and Job finally speaks up, you start really getting into the book of Job, where they start just telling Job that, hey, you are going through what you're going through because God's trying to show you that you've sinned against him. Or
Hmm.
one of his friends took it as far as saying, is the reason your kids lost their life is because they sinned against God, and this is
Yeah.
God's anger out against them
Hmm.
for sinning. And their friend and his friends are just telling him, he goes, you need to get back to God. You need to acknowledge or confess your sin. You have sinned against God, and it's been written, and we've seen it in our ancestors, that God has, he's when he's angry, his scorn will come, and he will do what he will do because he is God. But I prefaced it that with that. I prefaced that way because I wanted to ask you, I'm sure those close friends that you have any of them, not to say they're bad friends, but again, have any of them in a way kind of questioned your decision or the decision that you made, or even kind of said something, said something to you to put it in a way of like, what are you thinking? You shouldn't be doing that. That's not the plan that's for you. You know what I mean? Or
Nah.
not even, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be friends. It can be family,
Nah.
anybody.
Yeah. I got you. But I really like you. One of the first people I told.
Oh, damn.
I
I
literally just made
appreciate that.
the decision. No. Yeah. But so I only told I told a couple people, but nah. Like none of my none of my friends that I surround, like that's the important thing. Like you got to surround yourself with like those like good, like genuine good people, like that actually love you, like for you, like not for what you're doing and what for you can do for them. Because that was
Yeah.
kind of, for me, that was like the hardest part. Like like it was so hard for me because I didn't want to let people down. Like everybody's planning to come see my games and come see me play, and that's like how do I tell them like I'm not playing? Like
Hmm.
that's what I was really struggling with. But and then I talked to a really good mentor of mine, and she just told me like they're not they don't love you for what you can do and what you do and like what you bring to the table. They love you for you, and that's what's
Hmm.
important. Like they're gonna accept whatever decision you bring. And so like the people that like I genuinely talk to and I genuinely like have a good relationship with, they all like accepted it, and like they're truly happy for me that like I'm doing what's best for me and what God's calling me to do.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, man. Like, I would every time I talk to Ma or Pops, or Queese, we talk about you in a good way, not in a bad way, but we talk about you
Yeah.
and what you're doing, what you got going on. And I was talking to Ma that around her birthday. Yeah, it was her birthday, and she was just telling me, how great you're doing, and how the thing, how happy she is for you. And I told her I had talked to you, and I was like, oh yeah, he told me he was injured, but he's going to be getting back out there, and he's going to be good again, or whatever. And she's like, yeah, we're actually going to go see him pretty soon, because we're going to go out to his first game. And like, this is not to sadden you or anything, but
Nah.
like, like she was telling me, she
Yeah.
kind of talked to me about it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's great. That sounds fun. And I know Queese, he always talks about, he always keeps tabs on you. I don't know if you guys talk
Yeah.
often, but he always keeps tabs on you. He's always telling me, every time I'll call him randomly, he goes like, oh yeah, no, Jay's got a game. I'm about to head out, because I know when you were in Ohio, I think he went to a couple games.
Yeah.
And so like, like we love you, and we don't love you for what you can do, or what you were doing and playing football. We love you because we know we see something in you that's different from the rest of us. We see in you a light that even though you are an introvert, right? We see a light in you that, again, that like attracts just people to you. And it doesn't, football may have been was a thing that you were, that everyone attributed to you, but it's not the only thing in which you're great at and what you're good at. And it's the patience that you have when talking to people. It's the patience that you have when mentoring other people, and kind of talking to them and helping them work through their own issues. I've not directly seen, but I've heard, oh, I take that back. I have seen you directly mentor, and that is your siblings. When you're the oldest one out of all of three, and so like I've seen you mentor Carter. I've seen you mentor Isaiah. In Brooklyn at the time, she's still fairly young, so as
Yeah.
much mentoring as you can do it to how old she was at the time. But I've seen you mentor Carter and Isaiah to the where because they look up to you, and when you say something, they listen, and that's powerful. That's when a kid listens. When a kid as young as they are listen. On the first time, that means they have a lot of respect for you. And it's not to say if they don't listen the first time, they don't respect you, especially to mom and parents, but like understand the impact that brothers, siblings have on one another, and your ability to kind of gain that respect from them and get them to listen and kind of hoard them in at times when they're acting rambunctious is amazing. And that's and that's one of those skills that very few people have, because most of the time people kind of just get angry and they're just like, you're stressing me out, get away from me, whatever the case might be. But the ability to kind of keep it internal and say, nah, like I got it, let me ring them in. That's one of those things for you. I say it's like, that's an amazing thing. So you coaching these younger kids now, these 13-year-olds, and helping them, right? I imagine a lot of them have these aspirations or these goals where they tell you, they're like, oh, I want to be like you, I want to be playing college, I want to go to the league one day, I want to do A, B, and C, right? And
Mhm.
how do you approach those conversations with those young kids?
So like this is my first like actual, because I mean I kind of coached at my old school, but this is my first time like actually coaching, like being a full-time coach with kids. And so like I'm definitely like the hardest one on them, but
Yeah.
like it's a love-hate relationship. Like I'm gonna push them the hardest, but I'm also love them the hardest. I'm gonna be the first one to pick them up, like. So like I definitely push them, and I know that they all say that they want to be great, but like when they'll at times they'll just be like chilling and just like not pushing themselves. So I always try and bring the best out of them, no matter if like they're gonna hate me or what. Like I've had multiple kids like be super mad at me and like be whatever. Like I'm done with this. Like I want to quit. But once then I just give them, like I show them love. Like it's tough love, but at the end of the day, it's what they need. Because like not to say it, but this generation is like, this younger generation is a lot different. Like they're a little
Yeah.
soft.
I mean, even your generation is soft, man.
Yeah.
Look,
No,
I deal with a lot of kids. It's funny. A lot of my soldiers are your age, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, when were you born? They're like 2004, and I'm
we're definitely getting
2004.
soft, but
Yeah.
so I be trying to push them, but I gotta they be taking a lot to heart. So I'm trying to get them to not take that to heart. That it's all out of love, because like what I can see in them, like I'm just trying to push them to the best that they can be. And like a lot of them, of course, like every kid wants to go play in the NFL. Every kid wants to go play college football, but it's like the things that you have to do it. It's a lot of sacrifice. So I'm just trying to instill that in them and teach them that like life is hard, and not just about football, but actual like life lessons, and just prepare them for the rest of their life.
It's amazing because when we were younger, like you were younger and I was younger, right? And like we would get, we would, we have these adults in our lives that would try to instill some of these life lessons that they've learned over their experiences
Yeah.
throughout their lifetime, and we wouldn't listen. We wouldn't listen.
Mhm.
We would just be like, all right, yeah, times have changed. You can, and you were there, so you can imagine you've seen Queese, right? Where he had these aspirations to want to go play college football and try to do, and even try to make that work, and he wasn't able to make that work. Or even myself, who I wholeheartedly lied to myself and believed that I was so good at basketball, at playing at Shadow Ridge, Yeah, and I was actually I was trash. I was like, you know, it's funny. Like I people will talk to me now like, oh, did you play sports in high school? And for me, it feels like it was yesterday, but like in reality, that's over 10 years now. It's actually over 11 years now that when I graduated. I know, I'm old, but like that being said, like it's
Okay.
still one of those things where I was actually trash at basketball. Like, you know, like sure I could run fast. I was fit, I was athletic, and I could do some things through practice, but like I wasn't willing to make those sacrifices to be better and to get myself better and to put myself in
Yeah.
that place, in that position where I could go play college basketball, you know, like because I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I tell you, man, I was playing with some guys, and this was before the army, but I was playing, you know, kind of like when we go to Mountainside and play open gym, and there was like 3 or 4 of them who were college age kids who were playing at
Yeah.
college, and like seeing them run up and down the court doing what they're doing, I was like, yo, like these that's the level I need to
Like
be at.
there's really like levels to this stuff. Like
Yeah, like there's levels to it. Like you don't realize that until you see it in real life. Like you're like, oh crap. So like me in my head thinking like, oh, I could potentially make the GCU team, right? Like, and it'd be great. Like, and I was like, I'm not even good enough to make the GCC team. Like, you know, like Glendale Community College, I wasn't even good enough to make that team. So what in the
mm-hmm.
heck would I was thinking like I was gonna go play D2 that, you know, at GCU and be a starter. Like, yo, I'm 5'8" on a good day. You know, like what are we talking about? Like you know, like I'm not that great I wasn't great at the point guard position and with the position they put me in. But anyway, I say all to say because I think it's hilarious. But like you know, for you in those moments and those kids, you know, it's the military teaches you that a lot. The lessons that the lessons that you're talking about with those kids, where the tough love type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Is like, hey, like I don't tell you these things because I don't like you. I tell you these things because I want you to be successful, whatever that looks like for you. But in
Yeah.
order for you to be successful, you have to understand the sacrifices that you're going to have to
Mm-hmm.
make. You have to be willing to make those sacrifices. You have to be willing to put in the extra time. You have to be willing to step away from the video games or the phone or the girls, the whatever the case might be, right?
Yeah.
To actually devote yourself to this lifestyle to make it there, because you're not there's very few people who are just going to make it there just because, like, or just because they happen to fall into the league and then they're like great
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden. No, like, you have to work to get there.
Yeah.
And you know, I think what you're doing is impactful, is amazing, because these younger kids need it, and they see, and like, to them you're old. Let's just be honest, to
Mm-hmm.
them you're
I know.
old, right?
It's crazy. Crazy.
but 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 it's amazing is as they get older, like, oh, I'm actually closer to age than this guy, like closer than they're aware of, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, oh wow, you know, like, and you're right, life is going to hit you like a ton of bricks. And you know, I wish I could afford we can just make it where you could just focus purely on football, and like life, we can just kind of like, you know, not have life impact you at all. But the reality is life is going to hit you, and when
For
it
sure.
does, you don't know what you're going to do. You don't know how you're going to react. And I think it's amazing what you're doing with those young kids. And so when it comes to teaching, what is it that you want to teach? What subject would you want to teach, and what age?
That's the thing. I don't really know. I kind of just got into it like
Yeah.
last semester. I just switched my major over to teaching. But to go back to the coaching and like that tough love, what really like I'll be thinking about all the time is like you and Queez we'd be outside, y'all be beating up on me, we'd be wrestling. Like I'll be thinking about that a lot. Like y'all would always like y'all would be doing it to me, and I would sit there and go run inside and go cry to grandma and cry to my
Yeah.
mom. Like I was always doing it, and then now it's a whole new cycle. I'm sitting there trying to do it to Carter, and he's sitting there going running and crying to them. It's like I be thinking about it all the time. Like I was like I'd be trying to push him, and I'd be like, dang, I gotta remember. Like I was that one. I was doing the crying a couple years, not that
Yeah.
long ago, you know.
Yeah. I
But
mean, it's funny because you guys, like, we do the tough love because, like, me and Queese, it was hard because me and Queese were all the same age. Obviously we're identical twins, right? So like, as you know this, but like it was hard to like figure out who was like on top, like meaning who was going to
yeah,
be head honcho. So when because we had Eddie, and who Eddie was just, man, Eddie would do some mean things. I'm not gonna lie, Eddie would do some mean things, but it was just kind of like you said, it was a cycle. And then so when you came along as you got older, and you were really into wrestling, and I remember me and Quiz be like, "Hey, this is an opportunity just to freaking like we got a younger sibling now, basically, freaking hey." Let's give him he's over here super happy about John Cena. Oh, I'll show him John Cena.
I remember
Yeah,
you
look,
would be right upstairs in the middle of the middle of
it,
the room. Y'all
yeah,
would just be beating up on me and Danny.
yep, yeah. I remember Danny too. Poor Danny, man, that kid. Like he'd just be like, "Hey, I just want to come hang out with Jordan," and then here comes this freaking two uncles that look, and compared to for Danny, I imagine look like just two freaking huge Jack Black dudes coming like, "Hey, Danny, hang out with Jordan? Great, you're gonna get this work too." It's oh man, that was great. Oh, what a good time. I remember, man, what a time to be alive, man. Those are moments that you take for granted because you think
Yeah,
it's gonna last forever,
yeah,
and then they don't. But it's all good. We're older now. I was talking to Aubrey the other day about it because when I told her you were coming on, and man, Jordan's coming on. I was like, it's so weird because I was like, I remember 2004 or March in 2004 when he was born. I was like it was yesterday, like in, when he came back and like came back to the house and whatever, and so small and whatever the case might be, and growing up and then running around. Like I remember like it was yesterday to now where this dude's in college. I'm like, oh, man, time flies. Time flies. And you're going to see it when Carter is
I
freaking
see
like
it.
15, 16, and you're gonna be like, holy crap, dude, what the frick happened? How did this happen? And you're just gonna be like, time is going by. That's one thing that we can't get back that we take for granted all the time is time. That's what I say for sure is we take for granted is
That's what I've
time.
been trying to work on. Like when the moments I do, because like I don't get to be around them as much anymore. So like those moments I do, like I went home like a couple weeks ago, and I just try and like cherish all the little moments, and just take it
Yeah.
all in, not take it for granted.
Are you thinking you're gonna go back to Arizona, or are you gonna just stay out there until you kind of figure
No,
out what's next?
I'm gonna finish. Cause like I'm already committed to these kids, so I'm gonna finish this season out, and whatever happens from there.
Got you. Okay. Listen, man, like I got you. That's a good commitment. Dang, Jay, stop knocking on the dang desk. You think everybody can hear you? Dang,
My
man.
bad, my
God
bad.
dang, man. Nah, man, I think that's great. I think I'm happy for you. What subject do you strive in? Do you strive in the most? Because when I envisioned myself being a teacher, it was it was history. I wanted to teach. I thought it was English at first. And let me tell you, I realized I'm done with that. I'm good. English. I love English. I love writing and I love reading and I love that. And but like I was like, I'm good. So I switched it to history and I was like, oh man, I love history. I love talking about history and the things that have happened and learning about how they happen. So like, is there a subject that you're personally passionate about that you're like, I definitely might be interested in you?
Uh, I mean, I don't even really like school, but I don't know, maybe English.
No one likes
I
school.
don't, I don't know though. But yeah, I've been thinking about English, but it's like a lot that goes into that. So I really have no idea, to be honest. So,
Oh yeah, no, trust me. I did my first English class and I remember I was doing it and I was like, man, I can't wait to teach this myself. In my classes, the classes I do are they're online classes. They're only 8 weeks. And
mhm.
I got to the end of those 8 weeks and I passed the class, whatever. I think I got a B minus or something. And I was like, I'm good. Like I'm good. it's, I was like, I had to write like 3 papers throughout that course. And, I don't want to write any papers, which all my classes I have to write a paper, but whatever. But then also like I'm not great when it comes to the grammar stuff, and I can be grammatical, but it needs to be spoken, right? So like when Nevaeh speaks, right, when she talks, she'll say she goes, oh, she'll say something, but she won't use it the right tense. And I'll have to
Mm,
correct her and I'll be like, hey, like this is whatever. Some people call me a grammar Nazi, but I'm like, no. I just want her to be able to speak or talk correctly. I want her to actually,
Yeah,
when she
I got
talks, she's using the right verbiage and the correct tense and whatever the case
you.
might be. But I'm good at that. But if it comes to written, and then you want me to like check for commas and semicolons and all these things, and I'm like, I can do it, but I'm not great at it. I've met some
Yeah,
people that are a lot better at it than me. I was like, maybe that's not for me. So I definitely strayed away from that because I was like, I don't want to grade too many papers. Everybody's gonna get. If I was a history teacher, you might write 1 or 2 papers, but everything else is a PowerPoint presentation. You better become ready to present what you got. You know what I mean? Um, so with you did mention something I was thinking about. You volunteer at the youth with the youth, and so have you started doing that, or is
nah,
that something new?
nah, yes, I'm just getting into it. Like I just got applied like this week, and then got like my background check and everything. So I ain't got into it yet, but I'm going to it.
Yeah, and what are you hoping to do when you're there, right? And like this is a question that I think is important to ask, right? Because it's easy to
Mm,
say, hey, we're going to go volunteer, or we're going to go we're going to go serve, and we're going to do these things. And I encourage everybody to serve.
yeah.
But like, what for you, what is it that you're hoping to get out of this, right? Like, what is it you're hoping almost to find, right? Because sure, you can go serve, but you could have gotten served and done greeting. You could like
Yeah.
do people who be greeters. You
Mm,
could help in the parking lot. You could help in the you can help whether it's tithing or the prayer team. Like, what led you to the youth and the youth ministries, and then what are you hoping to get out of the youth ministries?
um, like working with kids has always just been my passion. It's just what I've been good at. Just like teaching, coaching. I've been praying a lot lately for just to God to just use me. And like we had a sermon a couple weeks ago, and it was just about like how do you like how like you're supposed to serve, and like how you should be serving, and like just being obedient, and like that how that's a part that like often gets left out, like serving in the church. Like you could go every Sunday, but like you got to take that next step. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just feeling it. And then especially like with being done with football, I just praying for him to use me and allow me to be more bold and be more uncomfortable in things and more uncomfortable in situations. Like me being an introvert, like I don't like talking, like, but I'm trying to do the best I can to be comfortable being uncomfortable and step out into those uncomfortable situations and just allow him to use me, you know?
Yeah, and that's man, that's so amazing and so powerful, right? And I'm pretty sure you've heard me say this before, and all of the audience has heard me say this before, but obedience requires action, and you know, one of the I'd say the whole act of obedience is difficult, right? And I say
Yeah.
that because one, it's was that really God? Or was
Mm-hmm.
that just me in my subconscious telling myself because I want to do this that this is the thing I need to be doing, right?
Yeah. I
Um,
felt that a lot, like heavy, like with my
yeah,
situation. I was just
yeah,
trying to feel like, is this really what he's calling me for? Like, am I just tripping? Like, so yeah. And then I definitely thought about your obedience is action. Like, once I felt like he put the word like obedience on my heart, like a couple weeks ago, and then it just kept hitting. Like when I would be listening, because every morning while I would be driving to school, I would be listening to y'all podcast and
oh,
like
I
listening
appreciate
to
that.
it while I was driving. So like it just kept hitting me and hitting me. Like I just need to be obedient.
Yeah, man. And that's the part for me where I'm at right now where, you know, and I laugh because I have a lot of things going through my head right now, but I laugh because I said that one of the when I don't remember I cannot tell you where I remember where that came from, right? But I do remember I was just kind of in my head thinking why it came to mind obedience requires action, and I kind of stuck with me because it was for me it was did God really call me to become a pastor, or was I just making that up because I was getting back into my faith, and and I remember thinking about it often, all the time, but then always telling myself obedience requires action. Obedience requires action. And so now it's funny how God works, because I was kind of dragging my feet. I'm not gonna lie, I was dragging my feet, and then I say I decided, but I think God had his hand. I know God had his hand in the mix, and he was like, he goes, all right. He goes, you need a little bit of nudging in that direction. So I started the Mediocre Dads Bible Study podcast, and I did my first episode, and I thought, like, I told Aubrey, I was like, I might just do this, just kind of see, like, whatever. And next thing I know, it's taken off to what it is now. And where I have MB who joins me on every Thursday, and we have those conversations and whatnot. And so, like, it was weird, because, like I said, like, to think, okay, originally it was a thought that I had, right? But God gave me that thought. The Holy Spirit
Yeah.
put that in my heart, and put that in my head to say, hey, this is the direction and the path in which God has for you. So I need you to follow that, and we need to be obedient. And because when we're obedient, God will always make it work out. In the Old Testament, I can't remember this guy's name. It starts with a B. I want to say Boaz, but I don't think that's the correct name.
I think so.
And he was God told him, he said, hey, you're going to go take you're going to go. He goes, I have given you victory. I've already
Yeah.
given you victory. And I want you to go out, and I want you're going to go fight I think it was the Philistines, or another, the Canaanites, or somebody else. I don't remember exactly. Man, MB would get a little upset with me. I don't remember exactly. But anyway, the purpose of me telling the story is because he was hesitant. And when he was hesitant, he asked God, he's like, God, if this is really what you want me to do, if this is you really telling me to do this, then do this, right? And God did all the things that he asked. And then he was still hesitant.
Ignoring it. Yep.
Yeah. And so then he's still hesitant, and God sent someone else to kind of be that nudging factor for him. But he told him, he said, hey, because in your hesitancy, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm going to give the glory to her, but you are going to be the one you're the one who's still going to lead lead them to victory. But the glory, the name that they'll remember, will be hers. And I can't remember her name that they said it was. But yeah, and that's what when I tell you that guy's story, I tell you that not to give you half stories of the biblical stories, but I tell you that just to take away from there that obedience requires action, and you have to trust God, and you have to trust that what his plan is for you. One of my favorite one of my favorite verses is, it talks about the Lord directs our steps. And it's so powerful. I'm looking at my iPad, looking it up right here. Sorry. What is so powerful to me, because when we sit here and we think about, Proverbs, so why do we try to understand everything? Psalms, the Lord directs of God, he delights in every detail. Okay, so yes, Psalms 20, what is it? Psalms 37, 23 through, Psalms 37, 23. And he says, the Lord directs the steps of the godly. He delights in every detail of their lives. God knows what he has planned for us. He knows every step that we're going to take, because as it's outlined in the Bible, he directs the steps of the godly, right? So he's directing our steps. And so we cannot forget who the orchestrator is, who the one is leading us. And even though it might seem crazy, it might seem insane to other people that, you stopped playing football and got out of school, right? Or it might be absurd that you're like, oh, they're just like, you're just going to do coaching or whatever the case might be. The Lord directs the steps of the godly. And that always sticks in my head, of just thinking of how powerful that is, because the very next verse is, he delights in every detail of their lives, meaning he knows every single detail, and he's happy with every single detail, and he's orchestrated every detail. So it may seem crazy and absurd right now, but in order for you to receive the blessing in the next and go to the next path, or open the next door that he has in store for you, you had to close this one. And when you close this one and you open the next one, there's going to be greater and more bountiful blessings. And you're going to be like, man, I'm really happy that the Lord was directing my path, because it's amazing to see where he's directing me, where he's leading me.
Yeah.
So I think it's just powerful. I don't know. I wanted to kind of finish with this. What is your favorite verse? What is the verse that sticks in your head as you're going throughout your day that you say, this is my favorite one?
Um, Really one that's always stayed with me since I was young. Like when I played on the Red Army, my coach he always put on the back of our jerseys, "Fear not." So Isaiah 41:10, just do not be afraid, and just have no fear. Like whatever's going on, whatever comes your way, whatever you're going through, just to have no fear and just trust in God that He's gonna make a way. And then like based on what you're saying like previously, um, like how we have to be obedient, but because God's will for us is gonna, His will is gonna happen no matter what. Like He could be calling us for something, and we can like ignore it all we want, but eventually, if you keep ignoring that call, He's just gonna have somebody else like step into it for you. Like He's gonna His will is always gonna be done no matter what. So like it's just our job to be obedient for when He is calling us to do something, because like you're saying, uh, the lady, I don't know her name, but she was the one that got the righteousness or the praise or whatever. But so we just have to be obedient and not ignore that. Like even though how hard it is, because it's hard. Like it's scary, it's uncomfortable, it's terrifying. But we just have to remember to not be afraid, and that He's gonna work everything out for our good.
Sorry, I was looking up a verse. I can't remember. But like, but yes. Oh man, I was thinking. I'm trying to think of this verse. We are where this is. It's necessary for the first preach the word of God to Jews. Oh man, I can't find it. But anyway, I'm totally agree with you. And God will. He has a funny way of doing these things. And the greatest story in the Bible of obedience is Jonah, right? You know, he was told to go preach in the streets and to prepare the people for what, you know, that hey, this is going to happen in Nineveh.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, "Whoa, God, that's too much. That's, you know, like, you're asking me to do a lot here. I'm uncomfortable." And so he's like, "I'm gonna go the other way," you know. And that's how he finds himself in the whale. And but like that's the greatest stories of obedience. One of the greatest stories of the obedience of the Bible, because it's a prime example of being called and then running away from that calling, and then God finding a way to pull you right back into that calling. And if you just listened the first time, right? If Jonah had listened the first time, I'm sure he wouldn't have got thrown off a ship, eaten by a whale, stayed in the whale for 3 days, got spit out, right? Just imagine the type of 2 or 3 weeks, or however long transpired in that time. Just imagine the week that man is going through after just disobeying God, and God being like, "Hey, I'm still going to use you. Now I'm just going to make it uncomfortable for you, for me." And then you realize, right?
It's just
And
prolonging it.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, just think about like what would have happened if he would have been obedient the first time. So it's amazing. I think while obedience can be difficult, it's still one of the things of just doing what God tells us to do. And, you know, and really but like when it comes to that and hearing from the Lord, I do believe you have to commit yourself to devote yourself to prayer. You have to commit yourself to wanting to hear from the Holy Spirit, because Jesus always talked about, you know, the ears to hear or I think, well, Jesus did mention this in the New Testament, but in the Old Testament, it's spoken about is ears to hear, ears to listen, and eyes to see, right? And when I do pray, I'm say, Holy Spirit, please give me the ears to listen and the eyes to see what it is you want me to see as I'm reading God's word, and open this up to me so I can understand what is written and what is God trying to outline in front of us and explain to us here in this passage when I'm reading it, rather than just reading it and just to say I read it. You know what I mean? I really want to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I think that's one of the things that we all need to do and all need to strive for is ears to see, or ears to listen and eyes to see. And it sounds so simple, but I guarantee you, when you guys really immerse yourselves in that, then you'll see what I'm talking about. That feeling of the Holy Spirit really just in in your body, you're flowing your spirit, just giving you true joy and opening your eyes to see, when you're just like, oh my goodness, right? It was kind of like when Paul, or when Saul was blinded on his way to Damascus to round up Christians, and then he was blinded, and then he got his sight back. And when he got his sight back, it was, he had the eyes to see what God had in store for him and for everybody else, and what he needed to do. And that's where
Mm-hmm.
his obedience came in. And he said, it was like the very next day after he was delivered, right? You can see again, he was out preaching in the streets and preaching in the synagogues. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that is true devotion, of true form of obedience in
Mm-hmm.
itself. I don't know. I've probably hit this. I've probably spoken hit the dead horse or whatever the saying is on that way.
But
But
no, I kind of do the same thing. Like when every time I pray, like, cause like you could read the Bible as much as you want, you can know all the scriptures you want, but if you're not like, there's a difference between reading it and then reading it with the Holy Spirit. You know, I pray like every time before I read, I'll be like, thank you just for opening my eyes and just allowing me to actually see you, and just opening my heart so I can like genuinely feel you and like see what you're talking about. Because like when I first started reading the Bible, like it's boring. Like
mm-hmm.
I didn't like reading that. Like I was falling asleep. I'll barely be able to read like one little chapter. But it's just like that consistency of just asking him to like just open your eyes so you can truly see and hear him, and just open your ears so you can hear what he's trying to say to you, because this is like the main way that like he's gonna talk to us, you know. So we just have to really like devote ourselves in that time, and then we'll be able to hear him more and see him more clearly.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. I love it. You know, Jay, I'm happy and I'm excited to see where the Lord takes you, and where he had the path he opens up for you, and puts you, and where you end up, or even where you end up, but then you might move on somewhere else into the next. But like, I can see the light, the light in you, that you're doing what God has put in front of you, and you're following his word, and or his what he wants you to do. And you know, that within itself is amazing. And I say that, and I don't say that to just be like, just to say it because we're on the podcast or whatever. I say that
Yeah,
because you're 20 years old, right? Yeah, so you're 20 years old, and at 20 years old myself, I was nowhere near where you were in devotion to God.
mm-hmm.
I would find any and every reason excuse to not go to church. I would find any other reason not to read my Bible. I would find any other reason not to talk about God. I couldn't say the word God around people, um, uh, without feeling like I just said a cuss word.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
I got
And
you.
like, that's like, that was, it's weird and scary to think about now, like, but like, because that's truly how I thought and what I did. But like, I couldn't say, I was afraid to say the word God, is, you know, like, and
Yeah,
it was just kind of like I don't want to say that because people are going to think I'm weird, right? But
mm-hmm.
it's, I say that because I think it's great in people, in young people, such that are your age, should when they hear you and they see you, take a page out of your book and be like, I don't know what's leading him to that, and how he is where he is, but like, I want to be there, and how do I get there? And I hope that just kind of pushes them to want to talk to you and figure out how you got to where you are, so they can learn and hear for themselves and be like, oh, okay, this is taking those steps in that right direction, you know, because again, a lot of young people who are raised up in the church end up going away, not
Yeah,
returning to church, because
mm-hmm.
they're like, I'm tired of it, right? And I was close to being one of them.
Right.
And so, you know, I think it's amazing what you're doing. I think it's amazing to how you're allowing God to impact your life and really direct your steps. So keep it up, man. I'm here, as you know, for anytime you want to talk. And I also want to let you know that while we did Mediocre Dads Bible Study, the regular Mediocre Dads podcast is you're always welcome to join, because I want to kind of go more deep into, you know, the story of your dad. And you know, because I know a lot of people don't know, but like, I won't put your business out there right now unless you're comfortable when we talk about it on another episode. But like, I want to kind of dive more into that with you, because I think that story is impactful within itself. Because if people kind of understood where you came from and how you got to where you are now, and it would be amazing. It would be amazed to be like, oh, this guy didn't grow up with a dad, right? So like, how does he have so much structure within his life, when he didn't have what everybody assumed you probably have, which was a dad that gave you that structure, gave you that discipline, and that
Yeah.
fortitude to want to move forward like you do. So, another episode
Mm-hmm.
for another time. But
That's right.
before we go, Jay, do you have anything you want to say to the audience, or is there a place where do you want people to go to kind of check you out if they're interested on social media or whatever?
I just want to say thank you for having me on, man. But appreciate all the words you said. But it's nothing that I did. It's just all him. Give him all the
Absolutely.
glory. And follow me on Instagram, Jordan Covington One. Just started posting TikToks. I don't even like talking to people, but here I am. TikTok is Jordan Trey 123. Go check it out, man. That's
Dang,
all
you
I
have a
got.
TikTok? I don't got a TikTok, y'all. I don't. I've been thinking about getting on TikTok. But like, TikTok is one of those apps, man. I'm like, ugh, I don't know. I might have to get on TikTok though. I might have to.
TikTok, it could be a lot of bad on there, but once you like my TikTok used to be just straight bad, but it's literally all my TikTok is now is just it's the light. It's people talking about God. It's people preaching to other people. So like it's all about how you make it. Like what you interact with. That's all that's gonna be on there. So
Yeah.
once I truly like change like what I start to interact with and change like my perspective and my point of view, like I don't want to see none of that worldly stuff. I just keep it all on here, and then it really changed like my perspective on a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got you. Well, guys, hey, that's all I got for today, or that's all we got for today for Mediocre Dads Bible Study. Thank you for joining us, guys. Remember that God is with you, and He is one prayer away. And I say that for those who are maybe questioning, or who are not maybe Christians, or who are not believers yet, and are trying to figure out how to become a believer and want that. Like, really tell y'all, find a church, get ingrained in your church, and then really one of the simplest and easiest things to do, right, is one, download the Bible app and just start reading. Right, just start reading, and you will start to see and understand, like, okay, like this is what those people were talking about, and this is why they're in love with God and the amazing power that He has and He's able to do, and how He's able to transform our lives. So I really encourage that, guys. Please, I don't tell you this because I just want I want to bring views to my podcast. I tell you because He changes lives. God changes lives, and it's amazing how He's changed my life. It's amazing how He changed
In
my
my life,
nephew's life. Right? Like, it's amazing. It's amazing. And if you see the people we were and where we came from to where we are now, you would be like, wow, that's God. I want every bit of that. I want every piece of that. So that's what it is, guys. I'm telling you, grasp onto God, find God, and it's amazing what He can do for you. But that's all I got, guys. Remember, being mediocre is a choice. You have to refuse to be mediocre every single day. Catch us on Thursday. We're doing a live episode. Me and Minister Bogan. He's going to be back. So me and MB, we're going to do another episode on Thursday. Live episode at 8 p.m. Central Time. So the conversation, man, we're going to be talking about once saved, always saved. And MB is pretty passionate about that topic, and he wants to bring that back. So I'm really excited to have him back and kind of delve deep into that. So check us out, guys. Follow us on Instagram, mediocre_dads. Follow us on X, mediocre_dads. Follow us on YouTube, Mediocre Dads. And follow us. I promise you. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. The more subscribers, the more we can get the message out, guys. That's all I got. And I appreciate you, Jay, coming on. Like I said,
appreciate
guys,
you.
Mediocre Dads out. Oh, okay. It's got to stop.